Hey there, it's Shane Melaugh from Thrive Themes, and you're listening to the 360 Entrepreneur with Jan Ilunga.
This is episode 193, and today we talk about how to generate more leads and increase sales. Here we go.
Welcome to the 360 Entrepreneur Podcast, the show for entrepreneurs and small business owners who dream big and want to do bigger. Join some of the world's top entrepreneurs, internet marketers, and best-selling authors as they share their inspiring stories, their struggles, and give actionable tips that will help you build, grow, and promote your online business. Here's your host, Yanni Lunga.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the first interview-based episode of 2017, and today is kind of a special episode for the fact that we are joined by the co-founder of one of my favorite companies. If you've been with me before, you've probably heard me talk about Thrive Themes, and in today's episode, its co-founder Shane Melaugh join us to talk about some of the things to think about and do this year to generate more leads and increase sales. The show notes for today's episode is over at yanilunga.com/episode 193. All right, without further ado, here is the interview with Shane Melaugh from thrivethemes.com. In today's episode, we are joined by somebody who's been on my radar for quite some time. And if you've been with me before, you may have heard me talk about one of the different tools I use from the Thrive Themes toolkit. Joining us is the CEO of Thrive Themes, which is a company that builds conversion-focused WordPress themes and plugins. He's a serial entrepreneur, a digital marketer, and as I said, he's here with us, and we're going to talk about how to generate more leads and increase sales this year. I'm so excited to welcome on the show Shane Melaugh. Shane, how's it going?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me, Jan.
It's my pleasure. And we were saying here before recording that you are from Switzerland as well, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, it's really a small world. And Shane, the first thing I have to say is actually I want to say thank you to you and the Thrive Themes team, because I was telling you, I've been a big fan of in particular, I use Thrive landing pages, Thrive leads, and Thrive Ultimatum. And, not only I enjoy the tools, but I also really, really enjoy your blog. So first of all, thank you for everything you and your team do.
Well, thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I can't take a lot of credit at this point. It's really mostly the team that does this. And yeah, it's great to hear that you're getting good value out of our products for sure.
Oh, no, I really am. And what I really like about your blog is not only the content, but also the fact that you really diversify. So sometimes you may have video tutorials and you show how to build a specific landing page, for example. Sometimes you may analyze some of the things some of the users do. So I think it's really 360-degree work you do there. And like in every episode, if you're here with Shane and I, you know what's coming. In the show notes, you're going to find the links to the Thrive Themes blog and everything else Shane and I are going to cover in the show notes. And Shane, I think the first question I have to ask you is new year and people may have new goals or a completely different set of goals. But I know that when it comes to online business, building an email list is still very, very important. So do you have any advice, strategy on some of the things we should think about and do to generate more leads?
Yeah, I think we're still seeing email marketing evolve quite a lot. It keeps changing in small ways because it's such an important tool, because everybody's doing it. But at the same time, you have to realize that it's still something that a lot of businesses kind of haven't caught on yet. And It's crazy to think that, but it's still something that, it's not as obvious to a lot of business owners as it may be to people in the marketing space that this is super important. It's very interesting because of this. There's quite a large gap between, let's say, the businesses who are at the cutting edge of email marketing and those who are kind of doing a bit outdated stuff or maybe only just getting the idea that maybe they should do it. It's a big gap there. And my first recommendation would be for anyone doing online marketing, anyone having an online business, is to start paying attention to that. Pay attention to where on the spectrum different businesses you interact with are, and see what you can do to get to the cutting edge. And as an example, I want to give you a simple example. what most people have caught on to now, okay, you should offer some kind of a free product, something downloadable, something like that, in exchange for an email address. Okay. But what I see is often this is done almost like a chore. It's like, oh crap, well, I guess I have to create something free, right? Whatever, or I'll put together some ebook and here, sign up for my ebook, get on my mailing list. Okay, work's done. That's kind of the more old school way of doing it. You can get a big advantage by being much more deliberate about what kind of an offer do I make and really putting effort into that offer, because I think the mistake that is made is that you just think, well, I just have to get people on my mailing list. It's really the only thing that matters. Right. The way I would think about this is that this is a very important first touch point, and that entire interaction, everything that happens from the way you present that offer to someone to what happens immediately after they sign up to them actually receiving the thing, that's a very important first touch point with your business. And if you do it wrong, that can be very disappointing and frustrating. Mm-hmm. And, for example, okay, it says, oh, sign up for my thing. You enter your email address, you click the button, and then maybe you see some page, some default autoresponder page that says, thank you for signing up. Now you have to go to your inbox. You're like, oh, okay. And, you're not on the same website anymore, right? You're just like on a totally different website now. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, okay. So then you go to your inbox and you have to find this email. You click on a button. And again, you go to some standard page that says, okay, you've been confirmed. And you're like, okay, well, where's this thing that I signed up for? Right. So you have to go back to your inbox again and you have to wait for the next email and you click on some link and then maybe it sends you to another page where you download this thing and, and then maybe it's the whole thing at this point already feels like you've had to do too much work for this. And then maybe it's like a poorly formatted PDF that you download. And at this point, you're just like, oh, this wasn't worth it at all. So even though on the business side, that person got your email address or that business got your email address, but they've basically already lost you. Right. Because you felt confused, you felt frustrated, it wasn't clearly communicated what was going on. You were bounced off of the website you originally were on. It's just the whole thing has just been unpleasant. Yeah, that's an example of getting the email address but not getting the value you're trying to get as a business. But if you do it right and that whole process is smooth and it's clearly communicated, you stay on the same website, you get access to something that's really well done. It's even the offer itself, right? The offer itself can be something that makes you go, well, maybe I'm going to give my email address, or it can be something that really gets you excited, something that's an irresistible offer where you're just on board right away. And that whole process, the way that is done, can make a huge difference to how valuable that mailing list is going to be. So that's one of the things that you can do to get an edge with email marketing, is really think about that. Think about it in that way. And it's not just about, getting that number of people on your mailing list to go up. It's really about providing good first experience, impressing people and setting the foundation for these subscribers to be active subscribers and to look forward to your next email, to interact with you and so on. That makes a big difference between a mailing list of, let's say, 1,000 people and the mailing list of 1,000 happy active people. There's a massive difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Shane, I think you touched on a very critical point, because as you said, sometimes we tend to think that we should focus on the quantity, so to get as many people as possible on our email list. But then if the experience we create, as you said, right from the get-go isn't a good experience, we start with the wrong foot. And then, of course, people won't really feel compelled to open our emails or take the actions we'd like them to take in our email list. And obviously, the more people you have on your email list, the more you're gonna pay for your email marketing service. So it's important that you focus on the quality. And obviously, Shane, I know that with Thrive, you have a series of tools, and there is one in particular called Thrive Leads that can really help with list building. And there is one feature, or actually a couple of features that I really like, and I would like to ask you more about those. One is that there is the ability to create different types of opt-in forms. If I remember correctly, there is like over 8 or 9 different options. Mm-hmm. And then there is also the option of doing A/B testing so that we can test different forms against one another to see which one performs better. So could you talk a little bit about what Thrive Leads is? And then maybe if you could also touch upon the importance of thinking desktop versus mobile, even when it comes to our opt-in forms. Because I know there was an article the Thrive Themes blog, that I'll link to that in the show notes, where you talked about the importance because of Google update to really make sure that the opt-in forms we may have on our desktop aren't annoying when displayed on mobile.
So Thrive Leads is a WordPress plugin that is basically just everything you need for list building, right? You connect Thrive Leads to your email marketing service, and Thrive Leads will let you create different opt-in forms, A/B test them against each other, and so on. And one of the important things there is that in general, actually, you mentioned annoying, right? So
right.
One of the things we've noticed in our testing is that often annoying opt-in forms do actually convert better. As an example, right, if you have a little opt-in form in your blog's sidebar, that's not annoying at all, right? That's just sitting there.
But it doesn't stand out.
Yeah, it won't convert very well. And compared to that, if you have, let's say, a thing that, covers the entire screen with your opt-in offer and it appears automatically right when you visit a blog post, that would be rated as very annoying by most people. But it actually does get more people to sign up. So it is an important trade-off. But what I think is very important is that you have to be more deliberate about your annoyingness. Another mistake that I see a lot is that you'll go to a website and there will be an opt-in form in the sidebar, an opt-in form at the bottom of the post, an opt-in form ribbon at the top, an opt-in form box that slides in from the side, an opt-in form that pops up on exit intent. And you're like, okay, I get it. You want me to sign up, right? But actually, it's like, that's like 5 different types of opt-in forms that are all, kind of slightly annoying. But in combination with each other, it becomes super annoying. It's much better to have just one strong opt-in offer, put it in your visitor's face, and they can make a decision, do I want to sign up or not? And then if they don't sign up, don't annoy them with 5 other opt-in forms right away. And more importantly, perhaps, when they do sign up, don't annoy them with that opt-in form again, which is an important thing we do in Thrive Leads, right? If you can make sure that everyone on your mailing list doesn't see your opt-in forms anymore. So, which I think is very important. I mean, that's one of the things, I was talking about the experience before. Well, that's an example of very annoying experience. If you've signed up to a mailing list, you go back to that website and it asks you to sign up to the mailing list. And you're like, well, What are you doing? I'm already on your mailing list. Stop asking me to subscribe. It's one of those details that strangely most opt-in form tools seem to overlook the importance of that. But also, like I was saying, I think it is much better to test a few different opt-in form types and choose the one that brings the highest conversions instead of bombarding your visitors with 15 different types of opt-in forms. So yeah, that's one of the things you can do with Thrive Leads, obviously. I kind of forgot, what was the other question you were asking?
The second part was about the difference between a visitor checking our site from a desktop versus the smartphone. So when it comes to our opt-in forms. Yeah,
so there was a bit of, a bit of noise about this because Google announced that overlays, essentially, if you have like a full screen overlay kind of thing, which is typically what an opt-in form would look like, that this will mean that your website is no longer rated as Google as mobile friendly. And I think this goes in effect, and I guess now this will already be in effect. That is a change they announced. And I have to say, first of all, I think this is less important than it's made out to be in many cases. It's not. Okay. Because if your website isn't rated as mobile friendly, it doesn't actually mean that much, right? You might rank lower in search results on mobile devices and only on mobile devices. But even so, you can still have a high ranking with a not mobile friendly site. So you also have to weigh, what's better. Do you want more traffic but fewer people on your mailing list, or do you want less traffic and more people on your mailing list? I think that's something people need to be aware of. It's not just that, oh my God, Google said I'm not allowed to use opt-in forms anymore. This is the end, right? It doesn't quite work like that, even though the reactions sometimes make it seem like that. But yeah, but then the question becomes, and I think in general, right, like I said, what's very important is that you don't annoy repeat visitors. And it's also important that your opt-in forms still work, on mobile devices, because for many websites, more than half the traffic now is on mobile devices. So you have to make sure that you show opt-in forms on a mobile device. That will still work, because you might have a form that on desktop, it slides in from the side and it doesn't cover all of the content. But if you look at that same opt-in form on a mobile device, it actually covers the whole screen. In some cases, if they're not well optimized, it's difficult to close the form, right? Again, maybe on a desktop, it's easy to click on the little X, but then on a device where you have to tap, it's too small, you almost can't reach it, or you keep tapping something next to it or something like that. And in Thrive Leads, what we've just done is that for each form you create, you can choose whether it should show on desktop devices only, on mobile devices only, or on both. So you can create one form that you show specifically and that you optimize for a desktop device, and you can create a completely separate form and optimize that for mobile devices, so that you can really make sure that you have a custom solution for both cases.
Love it. Thank you, Shane, for the explanation. And this last point from using from mobile is what, when I said annoying, I was alluding more to this, because when we are on desktop, regardless of the size of the form, it's easy to close it if we aren't interested. Whereas on mobile, sometimes, as you said, depending on how optimized a specific form is, it may be difficult to close it. But you said that we shouldn't worry too much about the Google update. And you touched upon the fact that with Thrive Leads, we can really decide where we want a form to be displayed. So is it on desktop only, mobile only, on both? And we can also choose for it to be displayed only on certain pages, certain categories of our blog, and so forth. And you had an article on the blog where you talked about some of the findings you got from analyzing funnels from some of the members of the Thrive Teams community. And obviously there you listed quite many mistakes, and that topic alone could be the topic of an entire episode. But if we think about what we've talked about so far, Shane, is there maybe something else that you want to add and maybe mention one of these mistakes? I mean, you've already said that it's very important that we create a great experience right from the beginning. When it comes to funnels, what are some of the mistakes you have seen people make?
Yeah, I mean, the most common one is that there basically isn't a funnel. Right. And so if you think about a funnel, it would be about that experience where I create an opt-in page, maybe have a landing page, right, with my opt-in offer. Mm-hmm. But then I don't just create the opt-in page. I also create maybe an email confirmation page if I'm using confirmed opt-in. And I make sure that's very important. Like that's because that's the next step in the funnel, right? Someone signs up, they get to the email confirmation page. And I want to make sure that, first of all, I want to retain the branding. I want to clearly communicate and make the new subscriber understand what's going on. So I want to communicate, okay, you're on the right path, you're still on the same website, right? And have a clear explanation of what to do next, and very clearly communicate the expectations and instruct what to do next. And then I design the next page, which is, let's say, the download page, and I can make sure that when someone clicks on the confirmation page, they go straight to the download page. Mm-hmm. And again, they have the same branding, same design. It's clearly communicated, yes, you're on the right path. Then I have the download link. And then also, while I have people there, while I have their attention, maybe I want to say, this is a good opportunity to offer an unannounced bonus, right? To create some goodwill, essentially, to surprise people in a positive way. Say, hey, here's the thing that you signed up for, plus here's another free thing that you didn't even expect. Or I might say, here's the thing you can download, and by the way, here are some of our latest posts to keep someone engaged, right? Mm-hmm. Another mistake I saw, and I think that was one of the examples in the post you mentioned, is that it's kind of the idea of, okay, someone subscribes, let's monetize the lead right away. Right. And you kind of send them straight to a sales page, right? They sign up and you just send them straight to a sales page. And I think that's, that struck me as an interesting example, because it sounds kind of like a marketing guru advice, right? Where it's like, oh, monetize the lead right away. You have their attention, right? And it's like, okay, maybe some people buy, but you're trading a lot of attention and goodwill in for a few sales, because a lot of people would just be annoyed, right? Just be annoyed. It's just like, hey, I signed up for a free thing, and the first thing you tell me is buy something. I haven't even got my free thing yet, right? You just straight away, you want my money. Yeah, stuff like that. I think it's just kind of almost a lack of awareness of what is this actually like for a visitor. So a simple exercise you can do for this is open an incognito window and visit your own website. And the reason I say open an incognito window is because that makes sure that you get the experience a new visitor gets. All right? If you're logged in as an admin and you're looking at your website that you look at every day, then you probably, you've closed opt-in forms, you're probably cookied, and you might not see opt-in forms that new visitors see, right? Depending on the solution you use and so on. So if you open an incognito tab, you visit your own website, you will have the experience a new visitor has. And you'll see the opt-in forms, and then, sign up to your own mailing list and really go through that process as a new visitor and as a new subscriber, and ask yourself, if this was someone else's website, what would I say about this? How would I feel about this? I think, as simple as that may sound, I think if you just take that perspective and you do that exercise, I think you'd find quite a lot of things that you could improve. It's one of those things, we're always better at giving advice to other people
right.
than we are at basically, it's like the do as I say, don't do as I do problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of an exercise to cheat almost, because it's like you can pretend that you're visiting your website, and you can kind of pretend it's someone else's website, and you can think of, what advice would I give this website owner? Make a list and then read that. It's probably good advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, Shane, you're right on the money. And I mean, you said one of the big mistakes is not having a funnel in the first place. And then you said it's also about rushing too much to splatter our offer in front of people's faces, when those people have literally just signed up for a free resource. They've just joined our ecosystem, our email list. So we should really focus on strengthening the know, like, and factor first. Perhaps we could provide an additional gift or some latest pieces of content to keep people engaged. But obviously, there is no doubt that a funnel set up and that works properly. I mean, you said it's important to check out our site in incognito mode and sign up and really go through the steps a new person who visits our site and then who joins our email list would go through. And obviously, if a funnel works properly, at the end, there may be some kind of premium offer, so a product or service that we sell. And you have created a plugin that can really help implementing what is called scarcity marketing. So when it comes to this, Shane, could you take a second to tell everybody what scarcity marketing is, basically?
Yeah, so scarcity marketing is basically just making something scarce. So this is just a thing about human psychology, right? We recognize the value in something as soon as we can't have it anymore. So you never want something as much as the thing that you can't have.
Right.
And scarcity marketing is tapping into that. So the most direct way to do this online is to basically put a time limit on something. So instead of saying, hey, here's a thing, you can get it anytime, you say, here's a thing and it's only available for 5 days. Or something like that. And it's an interesting thing because obviously marketers have known about this for ages, since forever and ever, I'm sure. And online marketers have put countdown timers on things since the dawn of the internet. And it's one of those things that you can do well and you can do badly, right? You can do it in a way, and it's very often done in a way where it's just, a very obvious ploy.
Right.
And where it's fake, basically, right? You sign up and it says, this offer only lasts for 5 minutes. And of course, if you refresh the page, it just resets
and it's
time and stuff like that, which basically does the opposite of what scarcity marketing should do, right? Scarcity marketing should lead to higher conversion rates and more sales. But if you have basically fake scarcity or scarcity that makes your visitors skeptical or makes them doubt the offer you're presenting, then it has the opposite effect, which is, this is someone's trying to rip me off. I don't want to have anything to do with that. So with Thrive Ultimatum, we built a tool that lets you make these countdown offers in various ways on your website. We really thought about what's the difference between good scarcity marketing and rubbish scarcity marketing, and what kind of tools do you need to make this work in a positive kind of way. So that's why it's a fairly complex tool that lets you do evergreen countdowns and fairly complex countdown campaigns, all based on this idea of how do you make this work in such a way that it's actually credible and it actually increases your conversion rates instead of just annoying people.
Thank you. And you said it, obviously, scarcity marketing and leveraging the sense of urgency is something that can be done well, can be done ethically, and then can be done not so well and so ethically. And as you said, Shane, with Thrive Ultimatum, we have a couple of different options of countdown timer campaigns we can set up. So you'll find the link to Thrive Ultimatum in the show notes as well. And Shane, I know that you guys are on the blog, you are on Twitter at Thrive Themes, and I know that you guys are always busy, and I want to ask you for some final piece of advice for everybody here, and that can be something that you guys at Thrive Themes are gonna focus on doing this year, or if you have an additional piece of advice for everybody who's joining us when it comes to generate more leads and maybe even increase the sales through scarcity marketing or social proof, something like that.
Sure, yeah. I think for most businesses, stuff to focus on. So, it might be strange for me to say that because we create technology, we create, technology solutions for marketing. But really, and I think this is the reason why our blog is such an important part of what we do as well, is it's not just about having technology, it's about using it the right way. Using it in a way that actually makes sense for your business. And so my piece of advice would be that don't let technology distract you from the basics, right? Because the basic idea, if you want a business to succeed, you have to create something that is very valuable to a certain group of people. And you then have to make a good offer to those people. That's the fundamentals of how business works. And I think entrepreneurs often make the mistake that they let technologies and buzzwords and things like that distract them from this, right? Because you'll have people going on about, whatever, Amazon FBA is the latest thing, or you have to have recurring revenue, or you have to have, whatever, you have to leverage Pinterest for your Amazon affiliate site or something like that. But listen, recurring revenue is not a business. It's, even whatever, Pinterest marketing, Amazon FBA, these are not businesses. These are just tools.
Right.
And for some reason, this is compelling, right? Because if someone says, oh, this is the latest thing, right? The latest thing is this, and I'm going to tell you the secret of how to make money from this. Well, we like that kind of story, right? Someone has the secret and they're going to tell me the secret. But really, look, a lot of these things can just be distractions. If you have a real business that is based on providing real value to a group of people, then you can use these things to support that business, right? You can use these marketing channels, you can use these technologies, you can use these ideas if they fit your business and if they serve your business. But it shouldn't be the other way around. And this is something that we also try to do, even though we do create technology, we're actually not technology focused. So we always try to find what's the real purpose, what's the real value that we can provide, and how do we create a tool around that value rather than just, here's some, interesting technology, let's pack that into a product and give it to people, right? So yeah, my advice is sure, make the best use of technology that's around, but don't let it distract you from the fundamentals of running a real business.
I love it. Shane, thank you so much. And the final question, you said it, it's important to really focus on what matters, because you said technology tools are often a distraction. And when we look at tools for example, growing our email list, it feels like every couple of months there is a new tool. So if we focus on the tools, we risk that we are so hung up on everything that we don't actually move forward. And the final question I have for you, Shane, if somebody would like to connect with you to say thank you, or maybe they have a question, what would you say is the best way to get in touch with you?
I would say, check out our blog for sure. That's thrivethemes.com/blog. And you can also leave comments there on the posts. And obviously on Twitter at Thrive Themes. You can reach us there as well.
Perfect. Shane, again, thank you so much for being here on the 360 Entrepreneur, for telling us more about some of the Thrive tools and for sharing some advice on some of the things to think about and do to generate more leads and increase sales. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It's my pleasure.
And we are back. Shane, thank you so much once again for being here and sharing your advice. And you heard it. There are a few different things you can do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but right now to set up your site for more leads and more sales. The first one, as Shane said, you can open an incognito window and test your site and the overall user experience of your funnel to check things out. We mentioned the Thrive Theme site, the blog, the different tools like Thrive landing pages, which I use, Thrive leads that I use as well, and everything else we've covered is over at the show note page, janilunga.com/episode 193. Make sure to check out that page, and really, if you're serious about growing your email list, generating leads, then you really should look into some of the Thrive Themes tools. Two in particular, the ones I mentioned that I personally use and can vouch for. The first one is Thrive Leads, that you can use to create opt-in forms, buttons, and things like that. And the second one is Thrive Landing Pages, that, as the name suggests, you can use to create landing pages as well as other pages like webinar registration pages, sales pages, course content pages, and things like that. Make sure to check them out also because not only they're very powerful, but they also come with a one-time payment. So unlike other tools where you have to pay every month or every year or whatever, the Thrive tools come with a one-time payment. And don't let that fool you because the plugins are updated on a regular basis. So if you've been with me before, you heard me talk about Thrive, and now you heard from its co-founder, Shane Melaugh. This is it. Thank you so much once again for joining Shane and I. In the next episode, next week, we're going to focus on social entrepreneurship and giving back.
Thank you for listening to the 360 Entrepreneur Podcast. For more tips and tools, head over to www.janilunga.com.